Pro-Tri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This is not for the faint of heart. If you get offended or hurt by what is said, please stop listening and go listen to some uplifting meditation music or just go work out, then try again.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pro-Tri News. I'm joining you from a very dark room in my house because we have thunderstorms, and so this is the best place for me to come to you guys live. However, we have everyone here minus Talbot since he's moving. We have Chelsea Burns joining us from, where are you joining us from, Chelsea?
From my parents' house in Seattle.
Nice. And you went to the infamous triathlon wedding of Matt Sharp. And
I
Kirsten.
did. Yes, that
Sharp.
was Saturday, and I just took a COVID test this morning to make sure, and it seems like we had a successful wedding without a COVID outbreak. I was scared.
But which is good because triathlon, I mean,
It happened.
the royalty of COVID wedding outbreaks are here. Mark Buckingham, Lucy Buckingham are here at the moment. They had the crown of COVID triathlon weddings. So well done. Good to
But
Matt
we're
Sharp.
still talking about it, so it was epic in that way.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. Mark, you're obviously joining us from a very special place. You're joining us live from the Sub7 Sub8 attempt this weekend. And a beautiful backdrop.
I am. I've got a good backdrop for once. That's not my kitchen or the cupboard Cat puts me in to record. I'm out in Germany, sort of a little bit south of Berlin, what was East Germany. And yeah, we're out here. It's great.
Nice. And Pat, from your same Boulder abode?
Triathlon capital of the world, Boulder, Colorado. So, yeah, coming in.
Nice.
Says every American.
It's probably like, it's tied, right? It's tied.
It's getting there. It's certainly getting there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I actually raced this last weekend. Wasn't the result I wanted, but it was fun to get back out and actually do triathlon.
What was the race? What was the result you wanted? Were you going for the big W?
No, I knew I wasn't fit enough to do that. I would have loved to have been on the podium in this new age group I'm racing in, 30 to 34. But I knew that I could have probably got on the podium. Yeah, I could have probably got on the podium.
That's the premier age group, though, isn't it? That's when you really reach the hitters. Like, they're young enough to be good. They're old enough to have earned money to buy a sweet kit. They've already got slightly bored of their families, so they just want to like drill into loads of training. I'm basically describing where I'm at right now. And that's when you just reach all the hitters in triathlon, Kyle. So I wouldn't feel bad about that, mate.
Yeah. And don't look at my results because I spelled my last name wrong, 1. And 2, I trained about 11 hours this month after we got back from St. George. So
I like the fact you're dropping excuses on
I was literally going to say the word
podcast.
excuse, too.
I had more excuses. I could have been like, oh, I was exposed to COVID. And then I was like, I don't really want to race. But anyways, it was very useful tracker for my race for a number of reasons. One, I was able to kind of dial in my nutrition. In the past, I've had a little bit of some GI issues racing and stuff like that. And so it was nice to have like ways to look at what I could do differently. Over the last week, it's told me to incorporate more olive oil into my diet, some more like healthy fats and stuff like that I don't normally incorporate. So that was pretty interesting.
I think you and I then should talk offline, and I can give you some recipes that involve olive oil. It's a super basic ingredient, and you should be able to add it to pretty much everything except cereal or oatmeal. So I would stay away. You could use it for breakfast for eggs, and then after that, you just got to find a way to put it on everything for lunch and for dinner. So I'm here.
Maybe we need it. Maybe we need to create a recipe link and then put that in our bio so people have of Pat's recipes and they have the inside tracker discount code.
When is your cookbook coming out, Pat?
It's a work in progress. I did write down. I have a pile of recipes, which is my least favorite thing to do is write out recipes. But I do have about 30 recipes that I've written down for a book that I will do at some point. I don't know. I'll probably give one to you 3. I'll commit to that. Not sure who will pay for it after that.
I was going to say, I honestly thought you were being serious there for a minute.
I'm being serious. I'm being 100% serious.
You're going to make a cookbook?
100%. I've got 30 recipes written down.
Are they
Olive
As
just
long as
straight
not-
off the internet, or are they?
No, these are
From the heart.
homegrown. These are slightly modified. These are Pat owned recipes. So
Wow.
Kyle, what's the code if people want to go do their own inside tracker test?
So you just visit insidetracker.com/pro-track, and it'll take care of the discount code and everything for you.
Amazing.
And then super simple. You just go to just blood lab, and then they take your blood, send it off to them, and then in a couple of days you get back all your biometrics and things like that. And it'll tell you need to start taking vitamins.
And we're super grateful for their support. It's allowed us to have an amazing YouTube show and have these awesome backdrops that are there. I mean, we got marked as Sub7 and Sub8 for goodness sake. So
Not
Yeah,
because
we're
of
going to
the
get inside tracker for that.
yeah. we got to get Kyle. Let's get into today's show. We got a lot to talk
All right.
about.
Yeah, we got a bunch to get through. There was a couple big races kind of put on a show. Second place was Freddie Funk, and third place Rube Zapunski. We'll go with that. And then the women's race, up her winning ways. And then second place was Daniela Blymeal. Help me out, Mark.
Kyle, you're doing great. You're doing great.
And then Julie
Yeah.
Imola got third place. Do you think that Justice coming up and racing the 70.3 distance, how many more of these short course athletes do you think will come up to 70.3 since we just started Olympic qualifications?
We talk about this all the time. Lots of them. Right?
Yeah. And it's been a proven recipe that it's shown they can just come across and bag some results. Like, yeah, I just don't see, like, it's shown not to be a detriment. So I think we'll just see more and more.
Do you know who Justus Neuschlag's is? Anyone?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah,
Do-
you're
Kyle,
breaking a little bit.
What do we got to do to get you some better internet today, Kyle?
Honestly,
We gotta get sponsored by AT&T. I think we got bad storms in Oklahoma, so I'm hoping that this is going to be able to work out.
That's
so
okay.
we got to get
Well,
you out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, essentially, you just got to get me out of Oklahoma.
I mean, it was nice to see Laura Phillip back, but she'll admit it was not a good performance for Laura Phillip. It's a great performance for a professional female athlete. She's great. She's super, super good. But that let's hope that's a stepping stone. And otherwise, she didn't make excuses, which is cool. She knows it wasn't a great performance, but she's back. So let's expect to see some more Laura pretty soon, I would say.
Yeah. We also had
Next.
Ironman Brazil. We had a Brazilian sweep of the men with Colucci, Igor Amarelli, and Fernando Taldi going 1, 2, 3. And then the women, Pamela Oliveira got first. Second place was Joanna Ryder, and then third place, Beatrice Ners. Not too much excitement going on in Brazil.
Nah, predictable. Pamela Oliveira is a very good athlete. No surprise there.
Yeah. And then Challenge Bolton also happened this last weekend. The men, Nicholas Mann, second place was Caleb Noble, and third place, Lucas Holas. And then for the women, first place was Lucy Buckingham, second place, Grace Theck, and third place, Alexandra Jarakowski.
Two things there. Lucy Buckingham, another podium. Shock horror. The girl can't miss a podium. Grace Theck's run was redonkulous. That girl can really run out of Australia. She's a cracking little runner. So she ran herself up to second. But yeah, Lucy Buckingham, who's here now, she's classy.
What do we got next? You want to talk about Ironman Hamburg coming up this weekend?
I think so, because it'll be quick.
We have Hamburg, which is European Championship. We have 3 slots, a $75,000 prize purse. We have Laura Phillip racing, Chelsea Sodaro, Nikki Bartlett said she's not racing, Renee Kiley, Manon Ghent,
yeah. She's a very good athlete. She was sort of coming second, first in Mallorca last year. She's a quality athlete.
I think she would be probably a spot to spoil the podium. That's pretty
the
much
big
it.
one. From the women there, the exciting one for me is Chelsea Sodaro making her Ironman debut. If you remember, Chelsea Sodaro came, I think, 4th in the 70.3 world. She went away, had a baby. She's a very, very good 70.3 athlete, former collegiate track runner, and this is her Ironman debut. So that's the one I'm interested to see how well she goes there. I'd have a tune into those results to see how Chelsea Sodaro does, because she's one of those athletes that could be a race winner over and over again in Ironman if she makes the transition well.
Also, former short course athlete.
And she did a dabbled in. It was quite a short course career, wasn't it?
It was short, but she won a World Cup, and then I think retired right after that. So didn't do nothing.
Yeah, good athlete.
Nice. Ready to move on?
Yes.
Escape from Alcatraz triathlon this weekend. Ben Canute going for his 5th win in a row. But he'll have strong competition behind Jason West and Ben Hoffman, Eric Lagerstrom, and Austin, short course athlete.
I tell you what, you can't get an easy win in an American 70.3 anymore, can you? It used to be there were easy wins to be had in some of these American 70.3s. Nowadays, there is no easy win in one of those races.
But to be fair, Mark, this is Olympic distance, isn't it, Kyle?
It's a little bit longer.
It's a little bit
Olympic.
weird.
Yeah, it's a weird
between,
distance. Yeah, weird distance in between. But we'll also see
non-drafting. I mean,
yes, I know what you meant, Mark.
The women's race will also be very interesting. You have Holly Lawrence, Jackie Herring, Jody Stimson, Danielle Lewis, Megan Foley, and the return of Sarah True.
Oh, I can't believe I'm not there, guys.
It's down the street. It was down the street.
It was.
Yeah.
Would you say this is the most? Would you say this is the most iconic triathlon in the USA besides Kona?
100%.
Really?
I think so.
100%.
I think so. Yeah, it's cool. It's niche. It's been around quite a long time. It's super unique. Jackie Herring wins it. Job done.
I was talking to someone recently about this race. Do you think that there's ever been a shark attack?
No.
I don't
Never?
think so.
But it's pretty insanely cold water. I'm sure they've had issues because of that.
Clint Eastwood made the swim, didn't he? It was fine.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I've been there. I did not want to be swimming there. You could
Me
not.
neither.
I don't know what you pay me. I would not be. I would be so terrified. I'm telling you. Shout out to everybody that does this race, because I've been to Alcatraz. I do not want to escape from Alcatraz. I want to be on the sidelines. So I think I totally
even if the jets are coming in on the rock and you're Sean Connery and you've got to jump in the sea, you're not getting to see.
I'll be out there with the flare.
Do people know that besides like freezing cold water, swimming in from a former prison, it's like the currents are ridiculous. Like if you stand on the Golden Gate Bridge and look down at the water, every day they're going like in 5 different directions. I don't know how you plan that swim.
No,
I'm worried how much time you've spent standing on the Golden Gate Bridge staring down, Chelsea. Like my DMs are always open if you want to talk.
Well, I go out and check all the triathlon spots, and that's a good place to see, Mark.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, I screwed up. I screwed up the pick so bad for Chattanooga on the men's race. I don't know that I've got a desire to try and make a stab at him again. But I think, obviously this is the second most exciting race happening this weekend.
I will say this showdown with Ben Canute and Jason West is turning out to be one of the best of the season.
That's right.
For the top
I think
American
we should all pick Ben Canute because he thinks we hate him.
I actually do pick Ben Canute.
So do I. Genuinely.
I don't think Jason West will make the front bike too regularly right now. I know Pat said that last week.
Yeah.
I do think Ben Canute is the better swim biker.
Yeah.
And
Ben Canute and Austin Hyman go off the front together?
No. Ben Canute goes off.
This is going to be a really physical swim, and Ben, and I would say Ben, I'm going to say Ben demolishes this race, and I say that no matter what I said for Chattanooga. So, yeah, I think this is Kyle, 5th title for Ben.
5 in a row is what it would be. 5 in a row.
Yeah, he's covered.
Do we think Holly Lawrence stands a chance here? Well, and Jodie Stimson can swim as well. So Jackie Herring needs a good swim to be in this race, I would say.
I think Holly's. I think it's. I don't feel good betting against Holly. I think it's gonna be her and Jackie Herring that are. Jackie looked really good in Chattanooga. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm picking Jodie.
Yeah, I think Jodie. Like if Jodie's fit and healthy, and as we've seen Jodie race, like the swim suits her, the distance suits her. I kind of want her to win as well. I like.
That's
Jodie.
right. That's right.
She's a cool rider.
She's been prepping in Boulder.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. I
has
had her over for
she?
dinner. A couple weeks ago. So.
Pat cooked for her. What could go wrong?
Do you understand her
Would you-
accent, her Brummie accent?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Easier
Cool.
than Jess's.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, fair. So we've got a big one this weekend.
Some would say the biggest. The
Oh,
attempt
God.
at
Here
Sub
we
7
go.
and Sub 8.
So it's not the biggest, is it? It's not
Mark,
the biggest thing we're going to get all year, but it's cool. Like when you're here and you see this whole thing gearing up, is good. It has elements of it throughout the entire race that make it interesting, which for me is why I'm looking forward to watching it, even if I wasn't here.
Mark, walk us through the start list has changed. Who's competing this weekend?
So you have Nicholas Berg and Christian Blumenfeld always on the start list, and obviously
Yep.
Lucy dropped out with an injury, and Kat took her place, and then Alistair Brownlee was in the men's field until he pulled out pretty much on Friday, right?
Yep.
And then Joe Skip has been pulled in to take his place. Now Joe was originally being considered for Alistair's team, but he wasn't then going to be on Alistair's team. And on Sunday, Joe was doing a race in Poland that I think he was paid to go and attend a smaller race. But Joe said, yes, I will do this. So with 1 week's notice, he said, I'll do this. And he's come in and he's going to take Alistair's place. Now, it's not that lion showdown that we all wanted to see, but that is two things. Like his management agency, etc., in Bahrain link him closely to the event organizers, which makes him accessible and quick for them to pick up and an internal win. One side. The other side is this guy said yes to doing an Ironman race head-to-head against Christian Blumenfeld with 9 days' notice. Fair play. Like, hugely ballsy. So that's what we've got, Pat. That's who's racing.
All right.
And they got some drama. They got some drama between the two of them. A little junkyard dog back and forth.
Look, that's par for the course for Joe. Mark, can you walk us through and I don't even understand the course. Can you walk us through the swim to the bike and then the run and maybe just give the lay of the land, weather forecast, some of those types of things?
Yeah, sure. So the swim is in a lake. It's a one-directional swim. There'll be an 800-meter buoyed-off rope. So the two teams will start at the same time. The women go off side by side, and there's a rope essentially separating them for 800 meters. Once that rope finishes, neither team can be within 5 meters of the other team. So you can't swim off the back of another team. I actually don't think that'll be a problem. We expect Nick to be ahead of Kat, and Christian will be ahead of Joe. So it's not necessarily a problem. They then finish the swim one directional and they get to a T1, very short T1, where some of their pacers can be waiting for them. Now, each team has 10 pacers they can use. They can use as many as they want on the swim, the bike, and the run, but it's 10 in total. So they'll get to T1 and X number of pacers will be waiting for them. It sounds like Nicola maybe has one swimmer. I think Christian might be going with one swimmer. Joe's going to go with two swimmers, sensible for a weaker swimmer. It's a good idea. Kat's going to go with two swimmers as well. And then they will hop onto their bike trains. Now, it sounds like the guys are using all their bikers pretty much the whole time through the ride. So their entire train will be there. And when they get onto the circuit, 19.9K later. So the gap between the end of T1 and the start of the circuit is 19.9K. When they get onto the circuit, there's another area where pacemakers can be waiting. And that's when you can swap riders in and out, essentially.
Yep.
So they'll set off, and during that first 19.9K, they can't bring anyone in. So whoever you start with on the bike is riding that first 20K with you. When you get onto the circuit, it's amazing, Pat. It's like 5.8K, perfect asphalt. I mean, like it's tarmac, smooth, super fast. And they'll ride 27.5 laps of that circuit to round out the 180K. There are pits, so you can bring riders on and off the track should you choose to. But like I said, the men doesn't look like they will. I think each of them will bring a guy off every so often just to freshen up mentally, grab a gel or two, then join back in, and they'll stagger that. Kat's team is certainly going to use two different teams. So we'll have Kat running, Ruth Astle in front of her for most of it. And then we'll have two teams of 3 time trial specialists swapping in and out. And that's because there are differences between the men and the women. And then they'll do that. They'll come off the bike and onto the run, and where they can use pacemakers again on the run. But obviously, the vast majority of the pacemakers will be used up on the bike. So it makes sense to look for pacemakers that can swim and run with you, good triathletes, swim runners, and swap those in and out. Or do like Christian's doing, I think, which is maybe one swimmer and one runner. He's got some Africans. He's got a couple of Kenyans. One of Christian's runners has run a 2:06 marathon. So he's out for a zone 1 jog in front of Christian, basically.
Yeah.
And then they run laps of the track for the marathon and finish. That's the premise, mate. The weather, mid-20s, some wind, but it's pretty well sheltered track. Nice.
And I apologize. What time does the race start?
The women go off at 6:30,
Yep.
and the men go off exactly 1 hour after 7:30.
So they want to.
So, yeah, so it will close up towards the end. I would expect the women to finish before the men. I think it's considerably easier for the women to break 8 than it is the men to break 7.
I was going to ask that question. Yeah. And what I think the things that I'm thinking about are what's been learned. We were talking before the show. What has been learned in reconnaissance for the swim, bike, and the run so far this week?
So I think what you learn on the swim is more about who you are as a swimmer. Because as you know, and I think most of our listeners, when you're following an individual, it's pretty hard. Like when it's one person, you snake on and off the feet quite a lot, and it's quite hard. But if you're so Alistair would have just had Richard Varga in front of him, swimming full gas, and Alistair would have just held his feet. That's fine, because that guy just has to swim full gas. Whereas if you're a weaker swimmer, it maybe benefits to have hips as well to kind of give you 2 points of reference to stay on. That's been learned. The biggest single thing that's been learned this week, and I think it's unanimous across all the teams, is that no matter how good the cyclists are, you can't put the Ironman athlete in enough hurt on the bike that's the deciding factor to how fast you go. The deciding factor to how fast you ride is how fast your pacemakers can physically ride. And that includes Joe's team, which, indulge me, Joe's team is utterly ridiculous. It's Alex Dowsett, world hour record previous holder, 2-time Giro winner, multiple team time trial winner. Like he's got Dan Bingham, he's got 3 or 4 guys that've all finished in the top 3 of the world TT champs, and they can't put Joe in the hurt locker. So that's not the deciding factor. So I think, mate, that's probably the biggest thing that's been learned.
And presumably, do we know does Joe hold around 300 watts for an Ironman? Like
circa that. Yeah, Joe's like a 300-watt rider.
Will he try to say, look, I want to do, even if I'm in the slipstream and I'm doing these, I'm going to do 290, or is he going to try and go close to that?
No, so Joe's, I think, and it's be similar to Kat. So I'm saying this with just a word around town, and it doesn't give anything away because Christian will be in the exact same boat. They can't get Joe to a level that's his Ironman pace.
So they're just going to go off of average speed.
They're gonna work out. So here's some riders. How fast can we physically ride? And Joe will sit on the back of that.
Yeah, cool.
Christian will do the same. He'll sit on the back of that. Kat will sit on the back of that. And when you're sat on the back of like Dan Bingham, right, who is Ineos Grenadiers TT technical consultant and one of the top 5 in the world, hour record holders ever. Yeah, it's like hanging on to it. You should watch these guys come past. And Christian's team look the same. It's like they're coming past at 55k, mate. It's mental. Yeah, it's cool.
So it's almost the biggest challenge for these athletes will be, okay, now you're going so much faster. Let's remember that you do still have to run a marathon. So we do have to take these moments, fuel, eat something, because we're going to be presumably 20, 30 minutes ahead of schedule on the bike. And we're going to be so excited because we're going 50 plus K an hour the whole time. We got to remember the fundamentals here.
Yeah. And it's a concentration. Sorry, Kelsey, go.
Oh, I don't really have anything to say about this, except that it's really weird, except I have one thing to say. I was talking to Christian after St. George about it, and he was asking me, I think it was a joke, if I wanted to be one of his pacers. I'm pretty sure it was a joke. And I asked him, I was like, what do you have to run per K? And he's like, like 320s. And I said, I could do that for about 5Ks. I was like, what did you run today? He's like, I ran 345s. I was like, so you're going to take 25 seconds off per kilometer for 42Ks. And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay.
So I think the assumption from that comes from, it's mad thinking, isn't it? But I think the basic assumption comes from the idea that they'll ride in zone 2 rather than an Ironman ride, which is in zone 3. And the basic physiology of that suggests that you can then keep your glycogen reserves neutral. So you can top up on the bike at a rate above what you're burning. Whereas in an Ironman, you're burning more than you can physically top up. So when you start an Ironman run, you start somewhat depleted glycogen reserves. Whereas the idea here is actually you can probably start fresh. The contrary to that, though, is when you're riding at that speed, the actual biomechanical force you have to apply is very different. So it is different. It's a different type of mechanical riding effect.
And there are these moments too, right, where you're going 55k an hour, and for some reason, if there's an accordion effect out of a corner, and you're going 55, and you have to get back on. If you're riding 7th, 8th wheel, and you have to get back on, the power spikes that you have to do to recover the draft is much higher. So in a weird way, the normalized power will be lower for this ride, but the spikes and the amount of them could be much more severe than its standard.
So
Ironman.
I think they might start to find that if you're on a slightly weaker or less well-drilled team in the last hour or so, when something goes wrong. Like if you were in Joe's team, and Joe's not daft, right? They get it. Like put pressure on their team hard and early, lay that pressure on, and hope they make a mistake. Because Joe's great, right? But Christian's clearly the favorite here.
I mean, one of the biggest threats here, Mark, is that Dan Bingham and Alex Dowsett are so slippery in the wind. Like the draft behind these guys might be
Mate, it's still big.
It's still big. Okay, all right.
There's 7 wheels deep.
Yeah. Okay.
And Joe's actually pretty slippery. Like we normally knock Joe on the show because it's fun because he hypes himself. But Joe's pretty tech driven, you know. But they're very slippery and like, I was a bit stuck.
They're just so
aero.
I was like, did I put Vaseline on or?
No, like you've never met anyone like Dan. Like, the knowledge of aerodynamics that he holds is it was almost unparalleled in the world. Like, he just sits on Excel spreadsheets all day here, just crunching numbers, testing. They rode an amateur team to like World Cup track team pursuit medals, a bunch of amateurs against like national governing body teams just doing his research. They're super cool.
That's super cool. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, can we start kind of getting into it and talking about what we think? Is it okay, Kyle, if we just start ripping into the, what we think is going to happen?
Yeah. Do we want to say what we did on our poll for today?
Tell us how the polls. Tell us. Can you maybe just read the polls to us right now?
So we posted on our Instagram, and each one of them on the Phoenix Instagram page came up with what their goal splits are. So Christian wants to swim 50 minutes, bike 345, run 225, goal 2 hours. That obviously doesn't take into account transitions, and it obviously doesn't take into account, heaven forbid, mechanicals.
7-hour goal. Yeah.
So 85% think Christian can do it. 85% of our voters. Joe Skipper, on the other hand, 40% think that he can do it. 40%.
I think most were put off by his 49-minute swim prediction. I think that's where most people. And then he predicted himself a 320 bike.
Yeah, 320 bike, and then a 237 run for a total time of 6:46.
No, you're not going that fast on the bike.
Now, I would agree with you. If I thought Dan had told Joe that's the time they would ride, I would just believe it. I'd just say, absolutely, that's what they'll ride. I just don't think that's maybe the time Dan told Joe. That's my only question there. But they will be fast. Like, prepare to be amazed how fast they are.
Sorry, Kyle. What was the total time for Christian?
7 hours on the nose.
And Joe?
6:46.
But okay, sorry, but I want to just drill into this a little bit, because I do think that Joe's going to come off with a big time gap from the bike. And I know
I don't think it'll be huge, because I think Joe will be a couple of minutes down out of the swim.
He'll make it up on the bike. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's not underestimate Christian's team, by the way.
Yeah.
Who's on Christian's bike team?
So they're mostly amateur UK time trialists with Matt Bottrell's team, but like they've got, for instance, the guy that won the UK, and Pat, you know what UK time trialing, he won the UK 10, 25, 100, 50 nationals last year.
Okay.
Like, these guys are very good riders. They're not nobodies, It's just that Joe's got names.
Can I say that Joe's going to come off with 6 minutes?
That wouldn't be. I wouldn't be overly surprised. That could happen. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so, how long is a lap taking on the bike? Like 8?
Less than that for the men. Yeah, it's 5.8k per lap.
Okay, I'm going to say it. Joe Skipper's team puts a lap into him.
So at 55k an hour, it's only It's a 6 minute 17-second lap.
They put a lap into him.
It would be unbelievable to watch. So Christian's team have done a week more prep. They were out a week in Amsterdam. They're very well drilled. I don't want to get carried away, but I'd like to see it because it makes the event more interesting, hey?
Yeah. I just the World Tour horsepower, I think, is something that they're going to rely on that last like 60 kilometers.
I watched Alex Dowsett's interview today. If you don't follow Alex Dowsett, by the way, even if you're a triathlete, hit his YouTube up. The guy is a gentleman and a very, very candid, intelligent bloke. If you want to learn about time trialing, just follow him. The guy's a genius. But he talked about having just ridden the Giro. He was like, yeah, it's a really good endurance strength block under the belt. I saw him on Monday or Tuesday. The guy was broken. He looked like a zombie. Like, it looked horrendous.
Pretty cool, obviously, that he got the allowance from his team, Israel Premier Tech, to come do this race. This is something that he would have had to ask permission for, and for them to give him that, I think is pretty cool. And I think we're going to see some stuff from him the last 60K that's going to be pretty lights out.
Yeah, I hope so as well. He's a real gent as well. Like, and then the women's side,
the women. The splits were Nicola swim 50, bike a 4:19, and then run a 2:45 for a total time of 7:54. 62% believe that's possible for her.
Wow, that seems low to me. I think she'll do that.
Yeah, and then for Kat, the unsung hero, going 7:30 with a 50-minute swim, 4-hour bike, and a 2:40 run. Did you get in her ear, Mark? Did you get in her ear?
I'm not sure she even said those splits.
Okay, but let's talk about the 4-hour bike.
But 78% think that she can do it and go 7:30.
So I don't think she'll run a 2:40 marathon. Like, she's done very little running since Lanzarote, basically. So I think she'll dial back on that a little bit. Honestly, Pat, like, the girls she's riding with are proper good time. Like, she's like Kelly Murphy came 6th in the individual pursuit in the world. Like, it's only 45k an hour, mate.
I know, Mark, but I mean, we had one of the greatest triathletes of all time draft a Mercedes back in July, and he barely broke 4 hours.
Yeah, but he was on his own.
Okay, I'm just
not
drafted
the track,
a car.
Yeah, he did draft a car. We know that, but you know what? I think of all those splits, the one I would, if I had to bet you right now, because I don't think she said those splits, by the way. I'm not sure where they got these from. But if I had to bet one, I reckon they go 4 hours on the bike, mate. They're good. They look
dialed. Yeah.
So like two of them are in relationships with two of Joe's team. The whole UK time trial scene is so interwoven with tech, and like, they're good. I think 4 hours is not actually laughable. Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is 8 hours will not win the women's race. Not even close.
Okay. Give us some context. What marathon time did Kat run at St. George, which was a very, very different course, obviously, but just kind of help us frame
3 dead. But back in Tulsa, she ran. So last year, she's run a 2:48 high off the bike.
Okay, so presumably on a flat course, like 250 is.
Par for the course for Kat is a 250.
And if you create a cushion on the bike and you do go, low 4 to do 250, then to get the sub 8.
Cruisy. Yeah. And especially if she's, because her Kat is, I promise you, I'm not joking. At 45k an hour, Kat is comfortably in zone 2. That sounds mad, and that's only 4 wheels deep. I promise, it's mad.
And then help us out a little bit. Who is she? Who are each of the women running with?
So Kat's got India Lee, who we know she's a very good. She won the European ITU champs at one point.
Yep.
Very good
Yep.
short course athlete, gone long. So she's going to swim and run for Kat. SJ Walker is an exciting young South African short course athlete who is an unbelievable fish. Like, she's a Lucy Buckingham swimmer.
Yep.
And she's done about 10 triathlons in her whole career. So she's swimming and running for Kat, local friend. And then Kat has a mate from the army running for her called Nerys Jones from Wales, who is 5 foot on the dot.
And are they doing like 15K roughly each with her?
Kat's got runners for morale. They'll run headwind straights if we've got it, but they'll do. I think they'll do 10. They'll do 10 to 15K each. The two main girls, and Nerys will do a chunk as well. Yeah. And Ruth Astle might run with her for some, but Ruth will do the entire bike pretty much.
Nice.
And obviously we talked about this a lot, but Nicola's on a road bike with clip-ons. Is that what she's going to use presumably on the weekend?
100%. Yeah, 100%. That's what she's using. She's not actually got clip-ons either. She's just got pads on the bars that she's resting her forearms.
Because she's just gonna and obviously. So is there a world? Does Kat ever touch the front of the bike, or is literally just going to be in the wheels the entire time?
Pat, if she does, I'll be pissed off.
But the goal, would you say the goal? but I'm prepping though for thinking about this on TV. The goal is that these guys are these athletes.
There's no way they're touching the front.
They're sheltered the entire time.
There's no point. There's just no point. I guess if something was going horribly wrong for Kat, she might get involved and just try to draw the pace to make it a race. Sure, yeah, why not? But we've got India in reserve to ride. Nicola's team, by the way, let's not poo-poo them. This has been quite a Mark Matthews heavy show, but I guess that's because of the event we're coming up to. Like Nicola's team have got some good athletes. Like it's easy to mock because she's on a road bike, but they've got Indy Lee, they've got Lucy Buckingham, they've got Joanna Patterson, who won the UK 100-mile time trial. They've got Luis Baptista, who drops watt bombs everywhere and is now on a time trial bike. Like, they're a good team. Let's not scoff at them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I have one question. Is the goal to go sub-7, sub-8, or is the goal to beat your competitor that you're going head-to-head against?
They're the same thing, aren't they? I guess, but no, I don't think anyone is trying to set paces to scrape under the barrier, other than Nicola. But I think that's just talk.
Now, Mark, share this if you can. Is there a bonus on the line if you win and you break the sub-7 or sub-8? Like, there is some incentive on that.
Yeah, it's not huge actually. Well, it's not huge. For Kat. I don't know what it is for Christian. But I don't know what the bonus is for the others. But yeah, Kat's got a bonus around breaking sub-8. There's a bonus to be the first person to do it, and there's a bonus for doing it full stop. They're not huge. They're not. It's not silly money involved here.
Yep.
No. But the organisers are definitely performance orientated. They're not just promotion orientated. Yeah.
Can you tell us what that number is?
The bonus.
Yeah. No, we're not going to make them divulge that.
Absolutely not.
We're not saying we're not.
It would do the four of us a decent session in a Norwegian pub, So you have to know beer prices, what we can drink, and what the Norwegians charge.
The kroners would be. Yeah.
If you were at our live show, you know how much Mark can drink. So
yeah. Okay.
Mark, should we move on? Are we moving on?
How do we get to watch the race, though, Mark? How do we watch the race?
So the best thing to do is just it's on YouTube and all sorts of things. But go to just Google Sub7, Sub8. Phoenix have a whole website, a whole list. You'll get some live broadcasts in countries where you are. Okay. There's lots of platforms streaming it, and actually, I think it will at least be very entertaining. And there's some cool tech and stuff to see on show. And trust me, these boys and girls are going to fly on the bike. It'll be fun. And Robbie McEwen is commentating. Robbie McEwen is one of my favorite all-time cyclists.
Yep.
So yeah, tune in.
Cool.
Be sure you tune in because the race is on Sunday, early morning. So America time, it's like, I don't know, probably like 2 a.m. So
I'll be there.
If you plan on staying late and not sleeping. Chelsea, can you give us a little short course news?
News?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you clarify something? When we started recording this and then we stopped and recorded again, did we start over?
No, we didn't start recording whenever we were just having a candid conversation.
So we haven't talked about anything short course related yet.
No,
Nothing.
that's what you're here for.
Oh, okay. I was a little confused. Well, let's see. We had a World Cup this past weekend in Italy,
In Arzachena.
in Arzachena.
Arguably the
Brownlee.
greatest course known to man.
Greatest, certainly the hardest. I think it has been deemed the hardest World Cup course on the circuit. It's a pretty gnarly, both ascent and descent. But as I said before, we were like discussing a few weeks ago, is Johnny Brownlee still racing? And he is, because he won the race.
How many dead turns were there, Chelsea? How many U-turns?
I don't think there were any. Isn't it a loop?
What? There was an ITU race with no U-turns and
I
not
think
And
it was a
no
brilliantly
cones.
an
designed
obscene
course.
amount of cones. I don't believe it.
And
Did
it was
you
really
watch a feed
exciting.
of it?
And it was a great bike
it was like a
course.
super cool bike course that looked
Yeah.
amazing. I don't believe it.
Well, the organizers must have heard you talking.
It
Pat.
can be done. It can be done.
And a super technical and strong cyclist went on to win it as well.
That's right.
Amazing.
That's right. Yep.
Yes. I mean, maybe this is the future.
Maybe we're on to something.
What I need is a future where there's more cups in the USA. Like, we need to have a WTCS race on US soil again.
You don't want that, Kyle,
Why not?
because have you seen bike courses in Europe and have you seen bike courses in the USA? Find
They
me
can
a
do it.
USA course that isn't lame.
St. George, boom, roasted.
No, it would still be lame. The roads in the USA are nothing like the narrow, switchbacking European climbs that you can create. And Americans don't care, so it's not worth it.
I think
Sounds
we
better,
could find.
right.
I mean, you're not wrong, Chelsea. I think we could find some venues though that would suit.
Why not
Yeah.
Boulder?
Would love to do one in Boulder. Yeah. I'd love to see some World Championship Series races back on U.S. soil and certainly even some World Cups. And I do think we could find venues to support this, and we need to for the health of our sport.
Yes. Well, luckily we have an Olympics headed our way in 2028
Yeah.
in Los Angeles, Cycling
Yeah.
Paradise.
Yeah.
And until then, it's still a Continental Cup. It's down in Long Beach. But I think as we head closer to 2028, it'll transition into a World
They'll
Cup
use that. Yeah, you're right.
and a World Series, which won't be a cool course if it's in Long Beach, but it's
Yeah,
at least a
downtown
race.
LA. Let's
But
go.
they said, the original plans in Rio was that it was going to be a flat hot dog course up and down Copacabana Beach. And it wasn't until just before outside of 2 years from the event that they said, okay, we're going off the beach and we found, this crazy hill and crazy downhill and then another uphill. So a lot can change.
Well,
move it to Malibu,
wait,
have
wait.
them climb up to Pepperdine, and then there's your course. You're welcome.
Kyle, there is an World Triathlon race in St. George in September. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know that.
Okay, so we're not completely without them. But yes, I think we'll have to leave the exciting courses in Europe, which I don't know if I'll chat again before then, but not this weekend, but the next weekend is our second World Series of the of this calendar year in Leeds, which is a sprint distance. It's usually an Olympic distance, but it's a sprint because they're also having the relay there. And the course is a little bit different. They go up, you usually, like the swim is down here. Am I in video? The swim is down here, and you usually go up this side, but this time you're going up this side and you're coming down this side. So it'll be a little different.
So I think it's a shallower climb out of T1. I've been there in person. It's been 6 years now, but I think obviously that what they did previously was always a wall, and this year it's a shallower exit out of the park.
Is it? I feel like it's shorter, but which would make me think.
I think Pat's right. I seem to think
I can't remember.
that's the one you normally come in from the car park, and it's like a gradual slope down.
Yeah.
I can't picture it, but I think it might be because that's the one we get great triathlon transition fails on normally, isn't it?
Because the exit of T. I mean, I've ridden it. It's a legitimate hill. And to get on your bike and try and get into your shoes from it is not an easy task.
Yes, I have also ridden it in the race, and it is hard because the mount line is literally where the hill begins. So you're forced with mounting a bike on an incline, which if you haven't tried it, go try it. It's harder than it sounds.
Yep.
So
Yep.
With TV cameras on you and your
With
heart rate's at 180 out the swim.
Yeah.
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 Is the start list stacked, Chelsea?
yeah, it's stacked. Have you
And
checked it out?
I have
I
checked
think-
it out. Why is it stacked?
Because it's in the UK and the British are good. Well, no, it's stacked because it's a World Series, and yeah, it's. Just,
We talked about Olympic points we're already back talking about Olympic points.
Yeah, we're talking about Olympic points, and I think that's obviously something in the back of people's minds, but it's probably not the reason people are going to race at this point. I think it's
Right.
just one of the more fun races in the circuit, and yeah, like it's only the second opportunity to do one of these, and it's already June, so.
And Chelsea, from what you're hearing, I mean, people are putting their hands up and vying for mixed team relays because they want to demonstrate competency to try and make an Olympic team for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that would be the case for a lot of countries. Gosh, we haven't seen a relay since Tokyo.
Who won
So-
that?
Sorry?
Who won that? What was that? That was
I think they had accents like you, Mark.
Johnny Brownlee, who a minute ago we were talking about, is he done? Had the fastest splits of the day on that bad boy.
Oh my God! Here we go.
There's 18 teams doing the relay in Leeds though, so
Oh,
Yeah.
really? That's a
No, I
decent turnout. That.
yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, there are only 3 relays all year, so
Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't realize it
Here,
was that few.
Hamburg, and where else?
Montreal.
Montreal.
Hey, I didn't realize that. That's really interesting. So we only really get 3 shots to roll out your team, test,
Yeah,
adjust,
and
etc.
it's a really important. It's a really important to make, Mark, because typically those could be led as the discretionary spots, and so you want to be able to demonstrate competency if you're outside of like auto
Got
selection.
you. Yeah. That makes sense.
So it's a race to be on the start list because that's the only way you can show and demonstrate your ability. So.
And sorry, one more thing about Leeds in case I don't get a chance to talk about the race again before it happens. But I think if I don't know, we talked about Yokohama a few weeks ago. It's been a few weeks, but we saw kind of a big group in the front that people like Duffy and Nib probably were not too happy about, that they weren't able to drop some of those baggage cyclists, kind of like the Frenchies.
Baggage cyclist.
Because the course doesn't
Right?
allow
we
for
can
it.
call them baggage cyclists. So I think in Leeds, people like our Olympic champion will be very keen to drop the baggage cyclists.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But she'll have a job dropping Georgia.
Yeah, I don't think I was referring to Georgia as a baggage
No,
cyclist.
of course. But she's still going to have some souped up runners with
Oh,
her
for
nowadays.
sure.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, people like Georgia and Jess, Leeds is their hometown race, so
Yeah.
that they would be probably
Yeah.
most excited for the opportunity to win on a course like that over any other one of the year. So it'll be a tall order for someone like Flora to win, but I guess I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a more exciting front bike group than we did in Yokohama.
Agreed. Yeah.
Do we have any hot takes?
So this
no.
or wasn't okay.
You know,
Go
my hot take was
I'm gonna tease it.
my hot take is I still think this Sub7 Sub8 is going to be kind of underwhelming, and I don't know that I wish that I hope I'm wrong for the health of triathlon, but I'm I don't know. I'm not that fired up for it, I guess, is my problem. And I'm a little bit, I'm not annoyed, but it's like did Alistair know he was going to have this problem months ago and could have given his spot up?
So Alistair's actually injured. It's not the sickness. It's
Yeah.
Mark,
no.
I can't believe you're at an Ironman again. I feel like we were all just at an Ironman, and I'm still so tired from that.
I'm really tired, mate. I'm
I'm a
really
little
tired.
the Sub7 Sub8 thing. I understand having Christian and things like that, but I don't understand why they didn't have Daniela there.
She wouldn't have done it.
You don't think
If you've
so?
seen Daniela make it rain on an after party, you know that the amount of money here doesn't draw her to this event.
Yeah, I guess
Daniela
that's true.
doesn't need the cash. She races big races for championships. and she's not associated with this group either. And they are, there are different tracks running. But I just don't think she was massively interested in it personally.
I don't think anyone of us are super familiar with her ability to make it rain at an after party.
Except for Mark.
Except for Mark.
knows.
So that's not something to just assume all our listeners know, Mark.
Oh, Daniela is super generous, lovely, and could outdrink the top 5 of our male pro field, hands down, any day of the week, comfortably.
Now we
That's
know.
awesome.
Do we want to talk
Honestly,
about?
yeah.
Do we want to talk about the housing market?
Well, Jan Frodeno's house is for sale in Girona. That's just triathlon gossip, it seems like. So Jan's on the move is all we know about that, don't we?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Needs a better
pad,
place
so
for skiing.
Yeah, he must
He
be
needs
off to do
quicker
some more
access to the
skiing.
mountains. No, 100%.
Hey, the guy's just built himself a lifestyle that if you're in the sport, you can sit back and be envious of. Super cool.
So the skiing in Girona is not as good as the skiing elsewhere. Is what you're saying?
I think Andorra's nice for skiing, isn't it? He seems to spend some time there. Maybe the French Alps. He
can go and hang out with Cam Worth.
Yeah, or head back to Australia with his missus. I don't know. The guy seems to just be living the goat lifestyle.
Nice. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be sure to tune in to Sub7, Sub8 happening this weekend. Follow the Phoenix YouTube channel. It'll be streamed live there and then elsewhere on your live viewing in your area. Just go to phoenix.com and figure out where that is. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to get your inside tracker. Be sure to get your Win Republic waist belt. Be sure to, also over the weekend, I got this grand idea to start it's like a semi Patreon account. It's called like Buy Me a Coffee. And so you can like buy someone a coffee for like $5 and you put money in this account so that we can afford to go to races and stuff and not put all the money on my credit card and stuff like that. So if you're feeling generous, buy us a coffee. We had first donor before I even announced this yesterday. Christoph Balstra is very generous and has given us money so that we can afford to go to more races.
Shout out to Christoph. Thank you.
So
that's cool. I didn't realize we were doing that, but and we will genuinely use that to go to races as a collective. None of us take a salary or cash for anything else out of this. It's just to put back into the show. So that's quite cool. I like that, Carl.
Yeah. So maybe we'll be able to get Chelsea to Hamburg or WTS race or something.
Let's bore her with some more Ironman races. We could definitely get people to donate and we can take her to the most boring Ironman races and force Chelsea to watch the whole thing.
Are they not? Are they all boring or no?
No, the one that I really want to go to that we need to cover is I want to cover the Ironman in Alaska. That's the one that I'm taking budget for to go to. So
I don't think there's not a pro star.
I'm going to race Roth next year. So why don't you guys come?
Show. I don't care.
Why don't you guys come support me racing Roth next year?
Okay.
Why don't we all race Roth next year?
Anyway, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. See ya.